Hi guys, welcome. Welcome aboard. If you're brand new, welcome back if you're not. And welcome home if that sits for you. Today, I'm being asked to speak on the topic of what are you creating? Right. In that vein, we have 3 different ohms and 3 different decks that you can choose from. We're just going to focus on these ohms and let the decks be their own thing. So let's start here. Om. What is Om? Om is the essence of consciousness, right? It's the unity. It's the seed sound of all creation. And so our topic, what are you creating? As we talk, we're going to talk about your current state. Why you're in that current state and why you're creating from that state, and what kind of alignments are you currently in and what kind of refinements might you make. So let's look at these ohms and you can choose, right? So we have this ohm. I like to think about this one as kind of like a fractal. It's got these beautiful designs inside of it, right, which is so lovely. So check that one out, see how that feels to you. That will be pile number 1, okay? Pile number 2, we have what I think of as this tree of life ohm, right? So if that image is captivating for you, if that feels resonant for you today, this might be your pile with your messages. And then we have pile number 3. I think of this one as the Eightfold Path Ohm. So just check that out and see how that works for you. See how it feels. Here's the important part. What you want to do is let the image, let the Om speak to you, right? This is about your intuition. This is about what is resonant for you, right? So if it's pile number 1, or pile number 2, or pile number 3, that's totally fine. If you already know which one feels right to you, you can hit the timestamp below. Go straight to your message. That's absolutely fine. You can pick 1 or 2 or listen to the whole video. Doesn't really matter. That's absolutely perfect, however it works for you. What we're going to do is create some piles of oracle cards that will open together, and then we'll grab your tarot and talk about what's coming in for you. What are you creating? So I'm just going to be quiet for a minute, let you feel into these, and then we'll grab your oracle cards. So go ahead and check those out. Okay, so what we're going to do now is grab your oracle cards. Let's start here. So sometimes we get messages, right? So I like this part. I like doing the shuffling and card picking here because sometimes we get some really good messaging for the collective, for all of you who are sitting here listening or watching. And you know, today we're talking about that current state. So here's the other thing that I do want to say, and I'll go ahead and add it here. I'll probably talk about it in the piles because it's so important. First of all, okay, so we have an 8th house card for a general message. So that's beautiful, right? That's mystery. Let me finish my thought and then we'll get to this. So first and foremost, don't force these messages. These are general readings. They cannot and shouldn't, honestly, speak to everyone. So sometimes you might hear something that doesn't resonate for you. Here's what I want you to know. It's absolutely okay if that's the case. Don't make it fit. Sometimes 80% of the message is for you and the other 20% is for someone else. That's okay. If it does not fit your situation, feel free to leave it here. You do not require to pick up everything that is offered. Every bit of intuitive work is always done as intuitive work. And so the way that this comes in and sits for you is absolutely perfect. You can't do it wrong. Just don't overthink it, right? This is always about intuition and resonance. If it feels right, if it's an aha, there you go. And if it's not, then it's not. And there's no need to labor it. There's no need to struggle with it, right? What's for you is never a struggle. That's called resistance. And we're not up for that. Okay, so our general message here, 8th house, right? 8th house is the house of mystery. What it really also represents is union, right? The 8th house is about union. In astrology, the 8th house comes after the 7th house. And the 7th house is about connection and partnership. The 8th house then is how deep can we go into that, right? So the 8th house can be about sex or death or inheritance, right? I always like to say that it's the things that we don't necessarily bring up in, and I'm air quoting, polite conversation, like at a dinner party with people that you just met. Sometimes people are really comfortable bringing those things up, but sometimes we're not, right? Sometimes what we're taught is, hold up, right? That deserves to be reserved for the people with whom you are in union, with whom you have a deeper kind of intimacy. And quite often that is the 8th house connotation, right? There is a level of intimacy that's reserved for 8th house topics, for 8th house relationships. You know, not everybody you meet is someone with whom you're going to be intimately connected. Some people are, and generally we know, right? Generally we know who our people are, and if we don't, then generally we find out. And those lessons are the super important ones in our lives, most of all, right? Absolutely. So, one more here. There we go. All right. So we have our complete piles. Now, if these final messages help you, let's look at them. I am rooted to the tree of universal superpowers. Lovely. I piece in and out and all things in between. Lovely as well. And finally, I am authentically and unapologetically me, right? So if these deepen your insight, allow them to. Go ahead and take a second, check it out, and I will see you in your reading, okay? First of all, and second of all, thanks for being here. Hey, pile one. All right, let's get into your messages, shall we? Yeah, let's start here. Oh, look, you have the 7th house. Okay, so that's interesting. So for our general message, while we were shuffling and pulling oracle cards, we had the 8th house come up. And we talked about how the 7th house is how we create connection, how we witness the other, or whether we witness the other, and how we interact, and how that is the cursor or the precursor to union, right, which is the 8th house. So this 7th house is how we create those relationships, how we forge them, how we initiate them and allow them to be initiated, right? How we witness anyone or anything in creation, in their relationship to us, right? And our relationship to them. And the reason that I say how or whether is because there's that whole concept of you are everything, right? Absolutely. So let's keep going. Oh, well, okay. So the next one is the Cave of Eggs, right? We exist in and with each other. And so interestingly, this card is absolutely directly what we just spoke about. This card is, there is no separation, right? There is no other, in fact. And all we're ever doing is witnessing our relationship with ourselves through another. That's interesting and lovely all at the same time. All right, let's keep going. Lovely. Okay, so you have number 11, the Queen, right? And the Queen is representative of the dual nature of consciousness, of your being, right? This is the embodiment side. So the King and the Queen have that dualistic nature and the power to, let's say, influence reality around them as they choose their representation, right? And so what we witness is this sense of otherness as really not existing, of being just a representation of how well we are creating ourselves, right? And our relationship with ourselves. And so we have, I am rooted to the tree of universal superpowers. Lovely. Even better. Every creature on this planet is power-packed with its own magic. The chameleon can see 360 degrees around its own body. The Turritopsis jellyfish reverts to juvenile form after mating, creating an immortal cycle. The dung beetle can pull 1,000 times its body weight. Shaggy ink-cap mushrooms can push their way through asphalt. You are the master creator, capable of doing and being anything you wish using the magic gifted to you by the universe. It's time to carpe that diem. You and the universe sitting in a tree. K-I-S-S-I-N-G, right? Fact, truth, reality. Yeah, so not only are you rooted to the tree of universal superpowers, but you are the tree of universal superpowers, right? You are. You are the tree and every branch. You are the root and the soil. You are the water, the rain, the sunshine, all of those things. Witnessing that there is no separation. So what are you creating? It seems as though you're creating yourself, a deeper relationship to yourself, a deeper awareness of yourself, a deeper, wider representation of yourself as you exist in all other things, right? Where, because this is specifically the Queen, where you are the embodiment. And not only are you the embodiment, but you also understand what that means, right? It's not enough to say, I understand that I am the sum of all things. What that means is to take responsibility for the fact that as the sum of all things, each and everything you do, done with reverence, done with sacred purpose, creates as sacred purpose, creates as sacred representation. And so, right? Lovely. Pile number 1. I love it so far. Well, we have strength. Always beautiful, right? This is a as above, so below, as within, so without. And it echoes this theme we've got going on quite beautifully. So what are you creating? What's your current state, right? Your current state is probably, manifesting, right? I think that you're doing the work in order to really witness your powers of manifestation, really begin to learn what that means, really begin to understand how that as within, so without moves you. And I think that you've probably had to overcome a lot of focus issues in terms of where you are now versus where you've been, right? And so this has probably been quite a journey of growth and healing for you. Probably had to do a lot of shifting and changing of your own idea system and the structure of how you got there. a lot of balancing, right, in terms of how you're capable and able and ready to move forward, right? You had to learn that your tangible 3D nature was not your only nature, or that your spiritual nature was not your only nature, and that in order to create something wonderful, you have to wed those two aspects of yourself, right? In order to unite that tendency in our age of consciousness to kind of divide our consciousness into two different things, or different aspects. But what you're doing right now is creating the opportunities to be connected to both of your natures equally and fully. And as such, what's happening is a complete and total, let's call it a renovation of the way that you are here to do life, right? What you're here to learn, what you're here to create, what you're here to heal, the way you're here to grow and evolve. And as such, right, as you come into this awareness of your true nature, what happens is that you've been moving past all of this. So let's look at the cards you have. In the top row, you have Strength, the Queen of Pentacles, the Five of Cups, the Page of Swords, and the Chariot, right? And these absolutely speak to a journey, right? This is a journey from, let me do this work so that I can explore who I really am, what I really am, how I'm really here to serve. And I can't look back. I can look back in terms of, let me witness what has happened. Let me witness what I have done. Let me witness the ways that I have been created, the ways that I have been forged, and the way that I've been in response and reaction to those things. And the best part is, new ideas always come in, right? As we process, as we sit with what's been happening in terms of our perception of the things that have happened in our lives, the way that other people have bumped up against us and activated us, the ways that we have then shown up in terms of really fully embodied in your experience, or really fully in resistance of your experience, right? Either way, that determines how you move forward, whether or not you move forward toward your highest and best, or whether you diverge onto some side quest path, right? I don't want to call it a lesser path, but it might be like a side quest path where what you know you're here to do has to take a sideline or a back seat because there's a lesson to be learned. You have to go collect some loot, collect some awareness, right? Some growth, some learning, something in which you can use as transformational fuel, right? And so then what happens in our second row, you have the King of Pentacles, the Two of Wands, the Ten of Cups, the Empress, and the Devil. Now, you have the Empress reflecting here, right? This Cave of Eggs, and the Queen really, really reflecting here in this Empress card. So you also have this divine pair. You've got the Queen of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles, right? And so let's realize that as we have both of those energies here, remember we talked about here, you know, what you do, how you choose to show up and either react or respond in the 3D is really what creates your environment. It's really what creates your experience. It's the way that you, let's call it, attune the magnet that is your manifestation skill, right? And so if you are conjuring from your heart's desires, and you've done the work to refine and align your heart's desires, then what happens is you will be manifesting something that's so wonderful and lush and feels great and is offering of contentment and fulfillment and really puts your heart not only at ease but also sets it on fire, right, in that beautiful way It will reflect in all of your relationships. And the key here is that the way that you get to that space is to do the work with your primary relationship, and that's your self relationship, right? If you get caught up in the fact that tangible 3D is all there is, you again are ignoring half of your nature. If you get caught up in spiritual is all there is, you're ignoring half of your nature. And so if you get stuck and you're just looping in one space, you're not moving forward. And so I think what you're creating right now in your waking consciousness is the means to do the work, right? I think you're consciously focused on how can I manifest? How can I create something closer to what it is I want to be experiencing within every moment, right? I think unconsciously you're calling to yourself all of those things that are going to create with you, that are going to offer you opportunities to make those choices, right? Those choices that allow you to either lean in or lean out, right? Big trajectory, side quest. Big trajectory, side quest. Guess what? It's okay. Either of those are fine. If it's side quest time, it's side quest time. If it's big mission purpose trajectory time, that's okay. You're never behind and you're never out of line, right? You're always doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing because you can't do it any other way. It doesn't exist in any other way. Your dream state, well, I think that your dream state is really focused on creating just exactly the right opportunities, right? Whether or not it feels lovely or whether it feels challenging, either of those things are going to offer you those opportunities. And what is your biggest illusion? Your biggest illusion is that things that have happened are things that you're stuck with, or that your anchors are your biggest illusion, right? The places and ways where you have perceived something as outside of you or perceived something as happening to you instead of for you. Witnessing that there is something called separation, right? Those are your biggest illusions and therefore your biggest obstacles. Well, guess what? What's being offered to you in this absolute state is the awareness that it's all for you, that you are all of those things, that you are not only your waking conscious, but your unconscious mind, that you are also your dream state, that your illusions are simply opportunities for you, right? So I think what you're creating is the perfect opportunity for you, the perfect path. And all you need to do, pile number one, is keep doing exactly what you're doing. I think this is beautiful validation for being on the right path, moving in the right way, and choosing to deepen your experience. And the key here is to know that you can't do it wrong. I want to pull one card. I'm going to pull this card for this 5 of Cups because I want just a little clarity on that. Yeah. So 9 of Cups, right? So again, this is about whether you're looking back at something bad. I'm air quoting hard there, so if you're just listening, please know that that's what I'm doing. Something bad that happened to you, or something internal that's always being chosen by you for you, right? Yeah, so I think that's what you're creating, this awareness of your next leveling, right? The awareness of your own depth and your own correctness, and honestly your own divinity. Yeah, and how you participate in that and what your highest and best is as a result, which is lovely. This is amazing. Pile number one, you guys are crushing it. I love it. So if you chose this Fractal Om, I say to you, well done, well done. You're doing beautifully. Keep up the good work. Thanks for listening. Please hit like and subscribe so you can come back and let me know how this goes. And I wish you nothing but the best. Be blessed, and thanks for being here. Hey, pile number 2. All right. Let's get into your messages. What are you creating, right? What are you creating in your consciousness that is reflected in your life, right? Okay, let's start like I started with pile number 1 on the bottom. Oh, fabulous. Okay, so you start with Chiron. Heal, right? Heal. So, long story short, Chiron is the essence of what you're here to heal and how you're here to do it, and then what is carried forth from that process of healing. So this is the way that you tell your story, right? This is the way that you choose to represent yourself and your journey, right? If you look upon your journey with love, each and every step being necessary, each and every place where you have a wound as an opportunity to heal yourself, to expand your awareness, to grow yourself, right? Or to attach to the wound and to create a belief in the cycle of that wound, right? Chiron is how we tell our story, right? And sometimes that's very challenging. Well, it can be more challenging than others, just depending, right? Some wounds are deeper, some wounds heal quickly, some scab over, some get torn open later, right? And some kind of turn into that trick knee that triggers you along the way, and you have to keep confronting it. It just depends, right? Chiron is a tricky energy, but boy, does it offer you opportunity, right? It offers you all of your opportunity. Let's keep going here. Okay, so you have the legacy. Love is always legendary. Now, I love this in relation to Chiron. This is about healing, ancestral healing, how you choose to tell your story based on your ancestors, right? And how available those ancestors are to you, and how, honestly, the less you judge your ancestors, the more you understand that they were not only doing exactly what they were created to do, but that they have given you your legacy. And love is always the legend, right? Love is always the legend. And the key here is, how do you show up to that? How do you show up to that, right? Beautiful. This is beautiful, pile number 2. Let's see here. All right, you have Eros, right? So this is also, let's put that down here. This is also about love. It can be kind of that erotic love, yes, but it can really be the love that is desirous. Right? That love that's really juicy and intimate. It creates us with our primal selves, our primal energies. And so every single time that we choose love, we are uniting past, present, and future within our now. Right? How beautiful is that? So really getting curious about what the journey means and why you experience those feelings, always leading deeper into love, right? Or not. And either place is an invitation. So you have I peace in and out, and all things in between. Why have we created a collective habit to say only rest in peace? What if we activate peace everywhere? What if we live in peace, laugh in peace, share in peace, relate in peace, debate in peace, connect in peace, make love in peace, create in peace, and even disagree in peace? When you add peace to the foundation of all aspects of your life, life becomes peaceful, right? Do your part to help the world one piece at a time. Peace in and out, and all things in between. So again, we're really talking about how we create from that space of peace or love, and ultimately understanding that those are the same things, right? And the story that we're telling is always the story of how closely we are choosing to relate as ourselves to love, right? Are we choosing to tell that story of our highest and best? Are we choosing to tell the story of our legacy as the story of our victory over anything that has come to challenge us, anything that has come to create resistance, any historical pattern that has come to be part of our legacy and part of the who and what we are. And so if we're including absolutely everything, right, all things in between, as part of our legacy, then we're never separated from it, right? And then we're always acting in love and as love, right? Everything becomes an act of eros, right? An act of just an act of divine and universal love that can't be overlooked, right? What are you creating? Well, I think I know pile number 2, but let's grab some cards and see. Wow, strength. This is exactly the card that came out first for pile number 1. Interesting. Okay, so what we can talk about here is that strength is, and it's a do the work card, right? It's how we create from our own, baggage, how we create from our own, wow, this is freakish. All these cards that are coming. Anyway, it's how we create from our own learning, right? It's all those places of resistance, being welcomed, being received as necessary and purposeful and perfect. And so the way that we manage within our own depths, right, within our own inner inheritances, really shows the way that we're willing to show up for ourselves and as ourselves. Yeah, that's quite lovely. Pile number 2. I want this. There we go. The last card for this row. Okay. Alrighty. So you have in the top the Strength, the Fool, Knight of Swords, the Lovers, and the 6 of Cups, right? So again, what you're creating now is love. It's about choosing love at every turn. It's about witnessing all of your story, all of your space, right? Every little instant on your timeline as not just required, but welcomed, loved, adored, and trusting that process as absolutely perfect and divinely guided. That's quite wonderful. And so what I'm witnessing as what you are creating, pile number 2, is an openness to being available to witness everything as for you, right? As really creating that space of welcome love, regardless of who it is on your timeline, regardless of where it is on your timeline, and regardless of how it exists, really witnessing as that fusion of story, which, guess what, all things are, right? When you talk about your legacy, when you talk about your ancestors, what you're talking about is how they have fused within you, right? All of those generations and generations and millennia of energies that have bonded to create the you that you are. And so what else is there, honestly, but trusting the journey? It got you here. It was the cause and the function, the mechanics of your creation. And so there's nothing else to witness except its perfection, right? Except its perfection. And so in any way that you would choose, or could choose, or maybe have chosen to be in resistance to that, to witness something as perception of a challenge, a speed bump, anything like that, honestly, other than an act of love of the universe on your behalf, whether the experience was pleasant or unpleasant, whether the experience was blissful or challenging, whether the experience was orgasmic or horrific, whether the experience was good or bad, right? We know I'm air quoting there in case you're just listening. Good or bad those aren't really terms we can quantify or qualify. Good or bad are all about perspective. And so what I think you are creating, pile number 2, is a perspective based in love, right? Which is absolutely gorgeous, right? It allows you to trust your journey in a way that perhaps you haven't, right? Perhaps you're looking for synthesis and fusion of all that has come before you in order to create this, let's call it this new, it sounds corny to say new and improved sense of now, but we're going to call it that, new and improved sense of now, right? What you've done is a whole bunch of work in order to conjure something brilliant and unconditional and divinely blessed on your own behalf. Now in the second row, you have the Knight of Pentacles, the Seven of Pentacles, the Four of Pentacles, the Six of Wands, and the Three of Wands, okay? So the way that you're processing your journeys allows you to really call in your future, right? Your long-term planning, the way that you want to conserve some things, the way that you want to give some things, the way that you want to plant seeds, the way that you want to allow yourself to be in endurance of something beautiful, right? Knowing that even if it's something ugly, you can endure it. You have the staying power because you witness the overarching arc of what's happening here as acts of love. So let's do this. What I believe you're creating, pile number 2, is a higher perspective based in love, based in sorry, 2 little birdies were fighting outside my window. You're creating this overarching higher perspective that allows you to elevate and witness your 3D life, your tangible current incarnation as being purposed in a different way than you've ever actually been able to believe it before. So this is the removal of a veil for you. What you're creating is more clarity. A deeper sense of alignment, right? A chosen perspective that allows you to refine your work in a higher and better way. And we know that when I say higher and better, we're not talking about hierarchy. We're simply talking about deeper into your own consciousness, right? So what are you creating in your waking consciousness? The awareness of your wider consciousness. What are you creating in your unconscious? A linking to each and every place on your timeline that has served as your own inception, right? And guess what? Every single place on your timeline has served as the inception point of you up till now, because that's who and what you are. Your dream state I think is connected in the deepest sense of the word. I think that you have dreams about your ancestors without even perhaps understanding that that's what you're dreaming about. So start to pay attention, start to ask questions in a different way, and how you are relating to the illusions that have guided you perhaps in the past is with a new layer of compassion. Because once you know better, right? Once you know better, you can do better. And the way that you're tapping into your awareness of self as that point of bliss, as that point of absolute being, is with the deepest sense of love, right? You're now inviting all of the places that you perceived as a wound, a hurt, a harm, to show themselves to you in a different way, in a more clear way, in a way where you're locked in and rooted to your highest sense of love and peace. And then you can witness each of those places, each of those events, each of those anchors as something different than you previously have been able to. So the way that you're choosing to witness them now is from this expanded consciousness, right? You don't need to shrink your consciousness back and go to that place and say, point a finger and say, this is what happened here. This is what happened. No. Instead, you kind of zoom out into that super macro level where you go, oh, yes, all of those things happened, and look where they led me. All of those things happened there, and look what I am as a result. All of those things happened, and look who I've become because I've chosen to become this, right? All of those incidents and pieces and points, they vanish out in the wave of love, right? This giant wave of love that you're creating that washes all those things, all the little gritty places, that washes them off and just leaves the pearls of wisdom, right? Lovely, 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 lovely. Your alignments and refinements. Stay in your lane, right? Keep focusing on your biggest picture. Keep focusing on zooming out more and more and more and more and more. Always with the dial tuned into love, right? Then the stories will take care of themselves, right? If love is your filter, then you never have to worry about what's coming through it, because it's always going to be filtered through that love. Pile number 2. This is lovely. I love what you're creating. I bet it feels great. I bet it feels great. Anyway, keep up the good work. I don't even feel compelled to draw clarity on anything here. I think this is a complete message unto itself. So keep that dial tuned to love, and you're doing a great job. So pile number 2, thank you. Hit like, hit subscribe so you can come back and let me know how this goes and how this feels. I'm real curious. So stay in it. You're doing wonderfully. And thanks for listening. Until next time, be blessed. Hey, pile number 3, welcome. Let's get into the discussion about what you are creating, right? What are you creating? Let's find out. Ooh, okay. So you have the North Node. Always exciting, right? This is about the future. So this is the way that you're here to shape and form yourself as a result of not just the lessons that you have always had, but the lessons that you've chosen, right? In this, either in this lifetime, if that fits for you, or in this current phase of your life, whatever it means, right? This is how you're creating the future. And the way that we create the future is always in the present, right? So this is the encapsulation of the what you do right now as it allows you to create the next phase, the next lesson, the next awareness, the next learning, whatever that means to you, right? However you move on the arc of your current is what you do while you create that future. Yeah. Oh, you have the heart. I carry a cathedral within me, right? Love never ends. So lovely, right? So this is brilliant. This is all about the way that we witness ourselves as that manifested bit of realized divinity, right? The way that we call ourselves as love, as divinity, as the wider good, as our highest and best. And so the way that I would phrase this is, you know, your life is your church, right? You carry the divine within you, and how you choose to allow that to be expressed and witnessed and experienced is always up to you. And so guess what? The way that you are creating your future is literally through the way that you're willing and available to create yourself as divine, right? You got to claim it. Ooh. So you get the womb, right? I love this card. One of the best things about this card is that it really witnesses legacy, right? Which touches into reading number 2. But when we talk about this card, the womb, we talk about as the precursor, right? As the preconception before conception. So the housing of the inception. And what does that look like? Because even that has an origin. Even that has an inception, right? There has to be something laying the foundation for what comes next. Something laying the foundation for the next phase, right? Something laying the foundation for the future. So if you witness your own trajectory as this brilliant string of pearls that are our choices, that are our awarenesses, every single one of them has an inception point. Every single one of them has an incubation. Every single one of them has an energy that allows us to be housed while we're preparing, right? So beautiful, so brilliant, that gives us that recognition, that warmth that we come in with, that we deserve, that we are in essence, right? So lovely, so lovely. And then you have, I am authentically and unapologetically me. Yeah, aren't we all? Okay. When others tell you how you should act or feel, they disrespect your ability to write your own story, to play in your own game, to be the creator of your own creations. We all do it to each other. Playfully judo chop the external goon squads who try to shape your story to fit their molds, but also don't try to force others to fit your mold. We are all perfect just as we are. We deserve the respect to complete our own missions. Always be authentically and unapologetically you. So again, if we want to talk about this in terms of how this relates to all of these other oracle cards, right? We want to talk about that as how it allows for you to create your own story. You have your own womb. You have your own destiny. You have your own church, right? You are all of those things. And there's no reason for you to ever question your mission or destiny unless you want to. Right, so I liked that playfully judo chop. Right, I would say that as figuratively speaking, judo chop. Right, because anyway, you know what I'm saying. But this is about how you have to create your own destiny. Right, you are both your inception and your incubation. You are your origin story, and you are your precursor as well, right? Your own action potential and your own action. How beautiful is that, right? And the key here is that it's all evidence of your expression as divinity. You get there when you get there, and not a moment before. And to witness yourself in comparison with anybody else's story or anybody else's progress or anybody else's achievement is to deny your own womb tale, right? And what I mean by that is if you're comparing yourself to someone else's journey, you're unaware of how they got where they are. And we're not all supposed to be in the same place at once. And so those people who harp about benchmarks and progress when it comes to, okay, I got you all. When it comes to themselves and their progress, have absolutely no business or no right judging your path, just like you don't have the business to judge theirs, right? Whatever they're here to do is whatever they're here to do, and that's great. Applaud them and then do what you're here to do, right? Because that's the way we move. That's the way we move as sovereign beings who choose our own path, right? Your path isn't supposed to look like anybody else's path. Your path is supposed to look like your path, because that's what you're here to do. So on the top row, you have the Two of Cups, the Emperor, the Six of Wands, the Three of Swords, the Queen of Wands. All right. So what are you creating? You're creating a separation from any kind of historical conversation that puts you in a place of fault, in a place of wrongness. And I'm air quoting there, so if you're just listening, please know that that's wrong is not a word that I use. Wrong is a word that is so requiring of perspective and unique perception that I don't believe there is a judgment available that could be wrong in all cases or right in all cases. Mostly because there's 8 billion ways to do any single thing. So there you go. So anyway, what you're creating are opportunities for yourself to witness how holy and sacred your journey is, outside of what has happened in the past, right? So how are you creating yourself as worthy? How are you creating yourself as, this is a place where yes, things have happened to me, but I'm going to claim them as a victory, right? I'm going to claim them as this beautiful part of my experience. I'm going to claim them as a planted seed for the next leveling of my growth, for the next leveling of this beautiful perception that everything for me is part of the love that I am. And that's the only way that it can be, right? No one can give that to you. Wow, that simply is the way of your choosing, right? That's why you're here. That's what you're here to do. In your second row, you have Justice, the Ten of Swords, the Three of Pentacles, the Six of Pentacles, and the Devil. Yeah, I think you're letting go of a lot of things. I think what's happened is that there's a long story in your history of those places where your timeline is, the word that comes in is fraught, right? And so what that means is that you've been bombarded with some unpleasant things, hurts, losses, ideas that create pain or resistance or feelings, right, of hurt or betrayal or sadness or loss or any of the above. And what's happening is that you're coming into the awareness that each and every one of those is a seed through which you're here to learn, you're here to grow, you're here to expand and embody your awareness of what it means to be love, right? How do you represent each and every time? How do you show up each and every time as love? Well, you simply remember that this is what you're here to do, and every choice is a victory. Every opportunity to choose is a victory, right? And therefore every experience is a victory, because that's what leads you to the opportunity. That's what leads you to the choice. So if you can witness, each and every one of those places on your timeline, every moment, every event, every experience as the seed of the next thing, the seed of the next thing. That's how you get to the future. And the only way that you can get there cleanly, right, is to keep choosing as love. And let's face it, sometimes we choose and it's not that beautiful trajectory. Well, that's okay. You know why? Because sometimes we get to choose a side quest. Sometimes we get to choose a speed bump that's going to create pain and create resistance. You know why? Because that allows us to do some work. That allows us to go deeper. That allows us to plant seeds that are going to grow into something new. And so the more we can witness each and every dark place, right? Each and every dark place as an experience of womb energy. Yes, it's dark. Yes, I'm under pressure. Yes, I feel squeezed. Yes, I feel confined and constricted. What do I need to learn? Where is the light? How can I position myself so that I can see the light even from here? Right? How can I witness that the light is still present in this darkness? How can I witness that no matter where I am, my heart is the source of that light, right? I'm always shining. I'm always fully lit. I'm always fully embodied if I am lit from within, right? If I remember that I don't have to carry any of this concept of hurt or pain or loss with me, I can release it, and I can witness that in this moment of darkness, my future is already here because I'm choosing it, right? I'm choosing it, and I'm willing, right? Pay attention. You have these 6s and these 3s flipped here. So your victories and your feelings are absolutely all about the way that you choose to move in the real. Right? It's brilliant to feel those feelings, and it's brilliant to witness the ideas behind them, but it's also required that you plant those seeds, right? All these holes that these swords have dug into you, use them as a place to plant a seed and see what happens, right? These pentacles, this is 3D. You can witness those wounds as places of darkness, or you can witness them as a place to plant a seed and watch what brilliant things grow when you tend them with love, right? When you water them with love, when you allow love to be poured over them and into them. And then you choose to use each and every place you were wounded, harmed, or hurt as a place to grow, right? You get to choose what grows from those places that feel like darkness. You get to choose what grows from those wounds that felt like the end of everything. You get to choose whether weeds grow there, whether non-native plants grow in your own personal soil. But each and every place where you are pierced with something that feels like a loss or a betrayal or a something awful or terrible, right? We want to perceive it in that way. Well, you've also just gotten an insight into a place to plant a seed and see what grows, right? Yes, this happened. Look, I understand the mechanisms of how this has been created and how I can either choose to create from this loss, from this betrayal, from this sadness, something that will choke out my own heart space, or whether I choose to grow something here that will bloom, something that will bring me shade, that will bring me oxygen, that will just be beautiful, that will bring me fragrance, that will bring me comfort, right? That will bring me medicine. All of these things are available to you. And so how you witness that is beautiful. What are you creating, pile number 3? You're creating opportunity. You're creating an opportunity to heal yourself in new and deeper ways, wider ways, right? You are learning what it means to go deeper and what's available to you in those deep, dark places, right? How each and every place has a depth, and then more depth and more depth and more depth. And what happens in that depth is that all of the raw materials you need to grow something brilliant and strong are there. In your waking consciousness, that might look like just doing the work, right? Just witnessing, just claiming, yes, this happened to me, just telling your story, right? In your unconscious, what is happening is that all of these places are opening up, right? You're having some cleaning out of those, what might feel like overgrown or crusty places. What happens in your dream state? I'm going to guess that you're having some, I want to call them like flashback dreams, and they might be upsetting. Instead, see if you can choose to witness the feeling of those dreams. Call that feeling up and see what it's asking of you, right? The illusion is that perhaps you're what's coming in is that you're feeling attacked or plagued or persecuted by these dreams or visions or awarenesses or old stories. Instead, how can you choose to witness them in a new way? Oh, I see that this happened. I see that these things have occurred, right? I see that there are these wounds, these places of pain. Let me plant seeds. Let me cauterize them. Let me deal with them in a new way, full of love. Let me fill these holes, wounds, places with nothing but love. Let me be the source of my own healing, and let me witness that as much energy as I can give to it, so will the universe, right? As I create in love, create this new awareness. Let's talk about alignments and refinements. Please be aware that in this state, you don't want to fall back into your old patterns while you're creating this new space. It's going to be very important that you keep maintaining the sense of openness so that all of that energy clears through. So I would say that what's happening is that as you're gestating your new healed levels of awareness, of depth of healing, of blooming and blossoming, right? That you don't let the fertilizer overtake the process, okay? I think you can do it. In fact, I know you can, pile number 3, or we wouldn't be having this conversation. So here's what I want to tell you. You are creating something lovely for yourself. You're doing the deepest of work, right? Getting to the bottom of those things that you walk with all the time are definitely going to create something big, bright, and wonderful for you. So I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you for being here. Please hit like and subscribe so you can come back and tell me all about your journey and how and what has healed for you, right? Take care. Be blessed. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Yeah, and I wish you absolute bliss. Take care.